Zola's algorithm is a program for choosing Insight's targets.
What targets?
You, a TV anchor in Cairo, the Undersecretary of Defense, a high school valedictorian in Iowa City, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat to Hydra. Now, or in the future.
In the future? How could it know?
How could it not? The 21st century is a digital book. Zola taught Hydra how to read it. Your bank records, medical histories, voting patterns, emails, phone calls, your damn SAT scores. Zola's algorithm evaluates people's past to predict their future.
And what then?
Oh my God, Pierce is gonna kill me.
What then?
Then the Insight helicarrier scratched people off the list. A few million at a time.
Do you know your threat score? Well, the government might, as the Washington Post is reporting police are using a new tool to calculate how much of a threat an individual is in order to predict their wrongdoing in the future. Well, to break down exactly what that means, earlier I spoke with Emmy Award-winning legal analyst and news decoder Lionel of Lionel Media. I started by asking him to explain exactly what a threat score is.
Threat scoring is a wonderful attempt on the part of law enforcement to give people the idea that they are utilizing some type of statistical bases to fight crime and terrorism. It's been around forever. Minority Report, the movie of 2002, was really, believe it or not, the blueprint for what we are seeing now. And what it did was it gave us almost an acceptance of what was to come. The programs have great names. Beware, a program since 2012, which also sifts through social media data. We have a Crush system out of the UK since 2010. Criminal reduction utilizing statistical history. And what it does is it takes all types of data, weather conditions, those individuals on the lam, and it pulls them together, thus giving the citizens the idea that there's a systematic algorithm. But what's happening here is we're talking about future predictions of crime. Then we throw in things like Shot Spotter and Boomerang and new devices where governments and the police and law enforcement take data and triangulate gunshots to pinpoint where the shooters are. Translation, microphones set up everywhere. Then you have license tag data. You have a host of this metadata vacuuming, and the public sits back and says, isn't that terrific? But oftentimes, Anya, they can't see where this is going and the civil liberty implications that people like you and I worry about.
Well, the media is describing this technology as new, Lionel, but is it really?
No, it's not new. It may be new. Remember, the media, the sock puppet, echo chamber, cookie cutter media are repeaters and not reporters. They are apparatchiks for the government. Anything law enforcement, they're handed the script and they read it. So they say, this is cool, now let's move on and talk about the Golden Globes or whatever, Sean Penn. It's a very little window of opportunity. Nobody really seems to care. But think about this. The implications we are looking at, not only taking data, which makes sense to take, facts and figures, but Anya, we're talking about predicting, using algorithms to predict not only where to go, but whom to suspect.
And something that we know also is that when so much data is pumped into the system, it can actually make it less effective because there's this massive dragnet that everybody gets swept into, and it makes it more difficult to pinpoint actual threats. That was Emmy Award-winning journalist, legal and media analyst, Lionel of Lionel Media. Always appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 3 lists. Shall I go on? Okay, we've got 3 lists. People have consistently asked me about the 3 lists, the red list, the blue list, the yellow list. One of my friends decided to follow the blue splotches, markers that they've put on these road signs, and strangely enough, it led them to a site that shouldn't have had barbed wire, but it did, and looked like it had been built for the purpose of being a concentration camp in the future. Yes, that's what these lists are all about. The red list will be, it's 187,000 Americans, and the lists, which are on computers, have already been distributed, and perhaps the scenario that will happen to round up people on the red list will go like this. And this comes from a man who, part of it comes, the bulk of it comes from a man who was the inspector for the Joint Chiefs of Staff of these concentration camps. There may be an electrical blackout at night. If you have an electrical blackout, watch out. It might be a cover for them coming for the red list. And then people like these Russians who are hiding, they have these the names. They will come at 4 a.m. just like they came at that time for Jesus. They'll pull you out of your house, and they'll take you in a van, take you to like a cul-de-sac where a helicopter's flying in that are black. They're flying off of their regular system navigation, will take you to sites and then take you to locations where you will be terminated.